Now, we're going to delve into a headline making very, very interesting, shifts in society and opinion and all of that. Today, we examine the case of Alex Ikwechegh, a member of the House of Representatives from Abia State who was recently arrested and arraigned in court following allegations of assaulting a Bolt driver. You've seen it. The incident allegedly began with an argument that escalated, leading to physical assault. Ikwechegh, his actions have not only sparked outrage among the public, but also led to his arraignment and subsequent apology, where he expressed embarrassment over his action. That's what he said. Although he has been granted bail, the case continues to bring public scrutiny on the issue of abuse of power by those meant to represent the people. Now, this incident is far from isolated. Increasingly, we're seeing cases where public officials use their position of authority to infringe on the rights of others. Just recently, we had the FCT Minister, Nyesom Wike himself. He made headlines for his blunt remarks directed at Abuja landowners, dismissing their claims of allegedly infringing upon their rights as residents. Wike's brazen rhetorics and confrontation, raised plenty of eyebrows across society, and especially on social media. Well, that's what we're going to talk about here today.
Blurring the line between pretty much oppression and governance. Anyway, to help us unpack the legal implications and societal impact of these instances, we're joined by Dr. Ayodeji Awobiyide. He is a seasoned legal consultant and litigation strategist. Dr. Awobiyide, it's great to have you here with us to provide with us insight on this very disturbing times that we're in, and how public this blurring of lines are. But first, let me start, right? When you saw that video of Alex Ikwechegh, and I'm also seeing videos of this rhetoric that the FCT minister, put out, what comes to mind just watching it? I think I'll start from there.
Thank you for having me. It's very disturbing, when I watched the video, I was very disturbed by it. Although it's, something that is common to our big men in Nigeria, it's a big man thing to say, oh, do you know who I am? I mean, you need to revere me. You need to worship the ground upon which I step. So that sense of importance and arrogance always radiates around our big men, whether they're in political offices or whether they are in their private companies. You find a lot of that happening. But for that, in the Honorable's case, it was more disturbing because he knew it was being recorded.
Yeah.
That was more disturbing because at the point where he knew it was being recorded, I would have thought that rationality would have suggested to him that, I think I need to back off now and just basically, smooth things over. But he still went on and said, record me. So it was daring the man to record him. And he even also, there's a lot to unpack in that video because he even told him that he should go and bring the IG. As the IG, watching that kind of video and having somebody say that, go and bring him, I'm sure he must be very, very
because the IG did put out a statement following that and said that, no one should use the name at any given time, that the IG is the IG and his office is this office. Do not use his name when it comes to confrontation at issues like this that concerns, He then literally put out a statement. He actually came out to say that.
Because it's embarrassing to the office, because it shows a lack of respect to the office of the IG, to the police of an institution. And for them, I think it's an important lesson for all policemen, because it means that if the head of your institution is not respected, then of course it dovetails down to even the constable on the road. Because you have brought the whole institution to disrepute to the extent that an honorable member of the House of Reps is saying to another citizen to say, go and bring the IG. The IG represents the law in this country, is the force of the law.
Speaking of the law and disrepute as well as, just repercussions, we've seen the Honorable Speaker being docked to court and he was fined.
Honorable? It's because it's a disgusting instance.
It was distasteful by every...
I don't think you need to add the word honorable there, so let's just call him speaker.
So he, the speaker, there we go, because he indeed was speaking, the representative was, he was not only just that, but also he was fined 500,000 naira, and then, he had to put out an apology. Is that enough?
No, absolutely not.
What does it speak then to our system?
Also, the challenge, I mean, all of this just puts to the fore the lack of decency in our public political office space. Because ideally, if you're going to run for the office of House of Reps, then it means that you must have a certain level of integrity, of moral character, of decency to hold that office. And, so when you have a member of the House of Reps bringing the entire House of Reps to disrepute in the manner in which he has done, in a manner that seeks to intimidate, to assault a person who was legitimately earning his living. Don't forget that all of this began because he refused to pay. And he said he was not going to pay the man for the services rendered. And he wanted him to bring the thing into his house. And that's where all of this began. So it just tells you the lack of, the disdain of public office holders for the people that they represent.
Exactly.
And also brings to the fore the rule of law. Because the whole idea of the rule of law, and I'm sure that Ayodeji is turning in his grave, the idea of the rule of law is equality before the law. Whether you are the president, whether you are a lawmaker, whether you are the chairman of any local government, or whether you are the minister of the FCT, you have equal rights as the person, the ordinary man on the street.
Let me jump on that now. You just mentioned my uncle.
If you don't know, it's a running joke here. That,
FCT minister is
the
my
FCT minister.
Now,
Right.
regarding him, first of all, I wanted to say perhaps maybe there is need for an evaluation, psycho-evaluation of sorts for the House of Reps member, because even after he knew that he was being recorded, he continued and even administered 2 more slaps on the poor guy. So I'm calling for an evaluation of the gentleman. Sorry, of the man. Now, regarding my uncle, the Wike, yes. Now, he also had his own stage on social media where people were talking about his utterances when he was addressing the, in quote, landowners of whom their lands had been taken, reclaimed by the government. Now, he's also a minister. He's also in a position of serving the people as well. But what he told the people, or said to some of the people, one gentleman in particular, is, "Are you stupid?" These kinds of utterances make you wonder exactly where does your authority as a serving minister stop, and where does where does the infringement on my right begin? Because that's verbal abuse. That's abuse. Simple.
Yeah.
Where's that line?
Right. So every citizen of Nigeria has fundamental rights: personal liberty, dignity, basic decency, respect for the person. So when you have this public officials do this kind of things, then the people should take them up on it. For instance, you could sue for violation of your rights, have the court determine that and award you damages. Also, you also have the persons who have appointed, because also this minister, the minister in his own case is an appointee of the president. So the president ordinarily, who has appointed him, can't remove him or can suspend him to say, "Oh, I've seen, the video, I don't like the actions, which reflect poorly on my administration as a government that doesn't care about the people and that would bully and intimidate the people. So I'm sending you on suspension for 2 weeks, 3 weeks." That sends a message to every other minister, to every other public official. But in Nigeria, you find an institution where it's difficult for these political office holders to discipline themselves because of the next election, because they're always thinking of the next election.
Right.
So if I do this to this minister, what would happen to my chances of getting or rigging the votes in a particular place? How does that impact on it? So they are thinking of the election rather than knowing that the people are those who have put them in power. So if there is a real sense that it is the people who have put you in power, you wouldn't care about firing any minister or anybody who's misbehaved. You send them on suspension. And that's what happens to ordinary civil servants. Because if there had been a civil servant in any ministry, any ministry of government, you would have seen the suspension.
Question again, for the Uber driver, or rather the car hailing service driver that was involved in the initial case. Now, he had to recourse to a system that's very unusual. He spoke to an advocate, and this advocate is somebody who's himself been in the news, and I'm talking about Very Dark Man. I don't know if you saw that. That was actually one thing that blew this matter up. Where do regular citizens go when they have these kinds of instances? For instance, even if it's just a simple case of utterance or insult, I can still sue, can I not?
That's a very pertinent question,
Yes,
Ms. Ino, because
I can.
Because, and I'm so glad we're having this conversation, because
With a
when we
practitioner
constantly have to go to social media influencers to
Exactly.
settle qualms and public matters that you should have walked into a police station or sort out,
Or ask the lawyers' help.
look for lawyers that could help, exactly, that could take it pro bono, or even go to NGOs who actually take on this case. We go to sort after, oftentimes, social media influencers.
Yeah, so the problem is, and I think I've been here a few times and talked about advocacy. Having people in the civil society space do a lot more to let people become aware of what they do. Because it gets traction when a celebrity puts it on her, like Very Dark Man or any other celebrity. And I'm not certain whether or not they charge fees for these things, but they have a platform which is a wider audience. The wheels of justice turn slowly. So if you go to a lawyer, there's still the process of having to write to the person involved and having to go to court and file the cases.
So having to
and
find
then,
them and subpoena them.
an assault is both a civil wrong and also a crime. So, and even in this case, I think I read that the honorable, the gentleman, took this boat driver to the station first.
Which gentleman? The boat driver is the gentleman here.
Well, yes. So
The reps guy is not really one.
the his name is Mascot, by the way.
yeah.
Yes, so I think that's also
Very definitive.
Yeah,
This
so,
gentleman in the studio, I adore. I'm glad I'm not doing them as you guys. You know, because if it's a woman, it would have dragged me.
It is his name.
That's his name. By the way, I think the people that gave him that name saw it to the future. Yeah, so, but anyways,
Oh, the subs.
So he took the boat driver to the police station first. And I think that it took the intervention of, when it went viral, to have the man released and then to have the member of the house, arraigned. So you see that the dynamics, basically are tilted against the poor in society.
Exactly.
Yes, it's tilted because, the machinery to, get justice is quite slow. And of course, you've seen that the judiciary is taking a lot of flack for that, for the slow pace of justice. You have cases that last in court for years.
And we see this happen even in regular society. If your landlord takes you to the police station, he's the one in the right from the start.
Yes, and that's why the police needs to do a lot more about their image. They need to do some cleansing internally, and they need to reposition the police force. So I believe that the IG, seeing this spate of events concerning him, should do a lot more to ensure that the image of the police is revamped.
Well, press for time, so I'm going to ask you. The mascot represents, he's a rep from Abia State. Now, I cannot,
I think it's
at this point.
Abba South.
Thank you so
North,
much.
Yes.
This is also very indicting on the people of Abba.
Absolutely.
And I'm certain, without a question of a doubt, that seeing that the rep of theirs can do this to a very, an average Nigerian who's working hard, legitimately trying to earn a living in a climate as this must be hard for them to watch.
Can they recall
So can they
their rep?
recall their rep? And how can they do it?
Absolutely, there's a procedure for recall guaranteed under the Constitution. So, but that procedure, like I said, also it's very cumbersome because it's not as easy as it is for you just suing. You need to go through the whole process. And I think you recall that Senator Dino Melaye, there was an attempt to recall him. It failed. And of course, there's a reason why those things fail, because you have money politics involved as well. Also, there's also the question of legitimacy of those members. Were they actually voted in by their people? It may cause them to question whether those people voted them in. In other climes, the people actually do vote them in, and they have the power to recall. Effectively, they can go to court and then recall. But I've not even seen a statement from anybody from Abba South or Abba North saying, you embarrassed me, and for this reason, I'm going to begin the process of recalling you. The party, ABGA, has done a bit of using a statement about how they feel embarrassed by it. But being embarrassed is not enough.
Yeah.
So, an apology issued is not enough. You need to take definite actions. For instance,
wasn't even suspended from the house.
one would be to say that we will not give you the tickets for the next election.
Yeah, let's start there.
That's
and they're suspending for about a year.
Then also the House of Reps. I watched with dismay the Deputy Speaker, I think Benjamin Kalu, say during the plenary session of the House that they won't do what the public is saying that they should do in terms of disciplining him, but they will refer the matter to the Ethics Committee. So we'll wait to see what the ethics committee of the House will do about it.
Oh, this time in 6 months, perhaps.
Kalu is not so much of a agenda. Anyway, moving on. I was going to let me not say. As always, Doctor, many thanks for
Doctor,
doing this.
thank you very much.
I appreciate you for
Always a pleasure.
coming.